What's going on, guys, and welcome back. So another week, 4 more decks, and a lot of set championship information. All the good links to stuff down below, ways to support the channel, the spreadsheet tracking the tops, anything that you may find useful. But today we're here to talk about it, and like I said, we are bringing the spice. Starting out, Ruby Steel. Yes, Ruby Steel won a set championship event with more than 25 players. That is the criteria to make it onto the spreadsheet. So Ruby Steel, in the 1-drop spot, they had the Moana and then also the Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse, just again, we've said it before, nice with that resist. And Moana, her 3/2 actually plays with your Flynn really nicely. It forces your opponent to have an answer. And outside of Steel or like a Snake and Amethyst, most decks simply do not have it. Into your 2-drops, then you have your Flynn Rider that we just talked about, your Calhoun, and your Doc, pretty standard, and also your Pete. So a little utility here, right? This is where the deck kind of goes back and forth. You got your Doc for your card draw, your Calhoun to go at your opponent's board, and your Flynn to be able to pressure your opponent into a lot of answer me now scenarios. Smee also pushing that aggro envelope while also being a threat because of his 3/3 stat line. Speaking of threats, in the 3-cost spot, they played Pete, and he's a 5/2 body. That is a big boy. He's going to pair up with your Flynn very nicely, and, well, if they try to challenge him, he's going to take down anything in his path. 4 Sisus are pretty standard. Then in the 4-drop spot, we start to get a little spicy. 4 Super Goose and 2 Prince Erics. Really like Prince Eric as a card. Nice to see him making his way in here. Crazy good 2-for-1s if he can trade into something, take it out. Then since he got banished, take out something else. Very good value card there. Also quests for 2. 4 Plutos, just being able to play that bodyguard role. Have a bunch of strength when he's undamaged. And then you have your 4 Mauis and your 4 Mickey Mouse Pirate Captains. Other 5-drops are the Chenpo, the Giant Bodyguard, the 4/7. 7's a lot. And the 3 Tragic Heroes. I like Tragic Hero this format. I've gotten some flack for it, but I like Tragic Hero this format. I don't know how many times I can say it. Like, any card that forces your opponent to respond is really good. Yes, people play the outs. But guess what? They also play outs for Diablo, for Ursula, for Ariel, for pretty much any good card in the format. That's why they play the outs. So why not play good cards in response? I think that Beast is super slept on. If you don't have them, I would buy them. I don't think he's going to be cheaper than $30 for long. And it's crazy how low he is at the moment. In our non-character spots, you got 4 Fire the Cannons, just trying to get out to that real quick start. If you can pin like Moana or Mickey on 1, Flynn on 2, then come back in another aggressive manner, whether it's a pairing of 1 and 2-drop or coming back with Sisu or Pete to really get that Flynn trigger going. In addition, you have the Fire the Cannons then that can continue to keep your opponent's board at bay. Same with Brawl and even the 7 Dwarves Mine. Once again, it's kind of like Diggy Hole where you get to move your characters there, ping the damage to your opponent, and essentially the deck is some rush characters to clean up the mess like your Maui and your Goof, while also having a lot of high attack strength characters to go off of with your Flynn and just answer me now threats such as Beast. I actually like the list. If I were to play Ruby Steel, not quite the approach I would take, but it's not that far off. I like the Flynn, Smee, Calhoun, Docs on 2. The 1-drop spot I like a lot. You know, trying to go for like Shift Robin Hood's kind of slow right now, so I completely understand going away from that. Makes perfect sense, and I don't disagree with it at all. The Pete was spicy. I like that. Sisu, Goof I like a lot. I forgot, what was it, Super Goof Squad or something like that was the first iteration back in like set 4 that I called the deck. We just changed it to OTB, all the best. We play all the best cards. It's Ruby and Steel. There's too many good cards not to play it right. But overall, definitely a quicker version. I played more of a mid-game one with some B preps in there. But overall, I really, really like the list. I'm happy to see it top, and we're going to move on to the next one. The deck everyone loves to talk about. Everyone loves this deck so much. I am so sorry. I'm kidding. Nobody likes this deck. No one likes to play against it. And let's be honest, the pilots don't even like to pilot this deck. They just do it because it's still a good deck. It is still a very good deck. This might be, without looking card for card, the Zansaid list from Nationals. I know it is very, very similar, if it is slightly different. But overall, I think it's very strong. Friend of the channel, Blake, played him in top 4. He was playing this deck, but he was playing Beast because Beast is a good card. Shoutouts Will, by the way. Will was the Popsicle player I played in top 8. Sorry I didn't give you that shout out sooner. But anyway, lots of really good players at locals. Love going there. And we see quite a variety of decks, from Blurple to Steel Songs, RAs, discards, popsicles, diggy holes. It's a wide variety. You better be well versed in the meta, so it's a lot of fun. But anyway, in your 1-drop spots, you got 3 Cursed Merfolks, 4 Diablos, the 2 Hidden Coves down there at the bottom. So from last format, when this deck was just absolutely a terror, what is different? It's really just the Merfolks, and that's because you wanted to speed the deck up, you wanted to apply that early pressure, and it's also a card that if your opponent doesn't have a way to remove it, they have to challenge it, which means they have to discard a card, which is kind of what you're trying to do anyway, right? So it just gives you an extra way to try to go under the Popsicle decks, because overall I think that they actually handle decks like this kind of well. But if you can go under them, force them to react to your board, and also start hitting that discard on them, I think it really helps propel you into a good spot. In your 2-drop cards, ideally you're going for like Calhoun, Smee, Ursula here. Ursula for the hand knowledge to hit a song, unless you Diabloed them and they didn't have a song. Then you come back with like Calhoun to control their board, or Smee to apply a lot of pressure. Doc and Tamago are more late game cards. Doc, obviously you don't want to have a hand when you play it, because you want to be able to draw your 2 cards without having to discard. And Go-Go Tamago is just kind of a tech card, especially into that Popsicle matchup late game. Crash something into one of their characters, put like 3 damage on a Sisu, play a Go-Go Tamago, get that 3 lore. Sometimes that's going to win you the game. He's there as a closer. You don't really play Doc or Go-Go anywhere near turn 2. They're both like turn 5, 6, 7 or later cards. In the 3-drop spot, this is where we really get crowded up, especially characters, songs, all of it really. Your Diablos, hitting that turn 2 Diablo shift, sing a song, is just so insanely valuable. Like, if you can turn 2 shift Diablo by discarding actions, sing Storm Rage on, kill their character, draw a card, now your Diablo's exerted, you're in a really good spot. The only thing better is if you have a Hidden Cove to play and move there, so on your opponent's turn 3, they can't brawl you. They can't just Storm Rage on and kill you. They need to do something more because you have that extra strength and willpower. It's just kind of going back to that top 4 matchup. I was on the play game 1 because I had the higher seed. Game 2, because I won game 1. Game 2, Blake was on the play, and he said those dreaded words, "I'm going to keep my hand." I should have responded with game 3, because usually if this deck hits and it hits its hand, there is no coming back. You have to have like the perfect response to it. So if a well-versed player says they're keeping their hand and they're on the play, you're probably losing that game. Prince John just generates crazy advantage, having the extra willpower, or sorry, not willpower, the ward, and also the 2 willpower. If you use something like I'm Still Here, giving him the resist 2, now all of a sudden he becomes more of a threat, because stuff like Grab Your Swords doesn't take him out. He can quest, unless they do 4 damage, they're not killing him. And if you have him at the Cove, then he technically has 5 willpower. There's, well, not 5 willpower, 3 willpower with resist 2. They would need 5 strength to take him out in one swing. There's just a lot of good things going for this deck. 4 Ursulas, 4 Petes, 3 Muses. So in your character lineup, really the new stuff for the format, the Calhouns, the Docs, really like the Doc. Sorry. Doc as a draw engine, especially because they're not playing Tragic Hero a ton anymore. Whereas you used to see Morph, and you can see the 2-drop spot is pretty crowded, especially when you add in those 1-drops of Merfolk. That's why I think the bigger reason some players went away from Beast and the Morph. I think you could play Beast without Morph personally. Obviously, Morph is going to make it better, but the times that you actually shifted Beast over Morph, like, it's not like you did it all the time. A lot of time you just hard played your Beast because it's such a good card. I still think Beast is worth the spot. Doc is less important if you have Beast. That's kind of why Doc worked his way into the deck, because it gives you another draw engine. It doesn't cost very much, and it's that mid to late game kind of card similar to a Beast. Like I said, Calhoun also cramming up that 2-drop spot to not really make room for Morph. But outside of that, the character count hasn't changed a whole lot, and neither has the actions. You still have the 4 Hypnotize, 4 Sudden Chills, 4 Storm Rage on, 4 Strength of the Raging Fire, but I'm Still Here is really the new addition to the deck, and like I said, giving that Resist 2 is really strong, especially if you can do it like to Calhoun. Now all of a sudden she's taking out a lot of characters without failing or without dying to them, because she already has a Resist 1, so now she has Resist 3, and all of a sudden it takes a lot to take her out now. So I think that the I'm Still Here is an incredible card that has found its way into this deck. Did I hit it? Yes, I hit the right button. Steel Song. So Steel Song, we just talked about where did they go. They did not top very much this past weekend. What's going on with Steel Song? Well, one of them still won. The deck is still doing all right, and overall, it's a deck that I wouldn't sleep on. Again, I think if you're in a Popsicle heavy area, don't play it. Play something else. But if Popsicle isn't a huge threat, I think this deck is incredibly strong. We see them loading up on the 1-drops, being a bit more aggressive, and also just having both of the shift lines in the Queen and the Robin Hood, which is kind of interesting, but it keeps the cost curve. This cost curve of the deck is pretty low, and you can be very aggressive with it, which helps you go under decks like RA, like Popsicle, like matchups that you don't want to get into a true grind game verse. And at the same time, you have enough presence where you can handle the aggressive decks pretty well without cards like Grab Your Swords. So 4 Cinderella, 2 Daisies, 4 Queens, 4 Hoods. Again, loading up on those 1s, hitting both shift lines, just having options to go for your Singer, go for the aggro, go for the shift lines. There's all kinds of different options in that 1-drop spot. Even if you come back with 2 1-drops on turn 2, that's not really a bad call. Only playing the 6 2-drops being the 2 Lilos and 4 Smees. Again, both kind of more aggressive cards, but in matchups where you want to be more controlly, you can go like Cinderella 1, come back with like Hood Queen 2. Like that's a very strong play line as well. Just lots of options here because of the excess of 1-drops. You don't want to just lose out to a B prep, so obviously you're playing the 4 Petes and then 4 Ariels. Come on, it's Steel Song, you're going to play 4 Ariels. 2 Naveen's and 4 Rapunzels on 4. I'm still not a huge Naveen fan. I think he's a solid card. I think you should play it at 1 to 2 if you're going to play it. Otherwise, I wouldn't play more than 2 ever. I'm not the biggest fan of the card. It can be incredible value. It can be incredibly strong to just come in and instantly cast a song, just be able to do it right away. It can be very, very good on turn 4. I'm not going to try to take that away from it. It does have a lot going for it. I'm just personally not a huge card of it. Kind of like Robin Hood Sharpshooter. There's lots of potential for it. I'm just not the biggest fan of it in general. Also, 2 Plutos. Not only is he good target for your Rapunzel to heal, he can kind of help block your Singers so that like you come back with Pluto after singing with your Ariel, and then now they have to challenge the Pluto or remove the Pluto before they can go ahead and challenge your Ariel, just allowing that extra layer of protection. Your 2 shift targets in your Queen and Hood. Again, I actually kind of like the inclusion of both. With Queen, World's Greatest Criminal Mind becomes even better because it's live versus every deck, not just versus like the Tamatoas, the big Sisus of the world. And then the pretty standard song lineup. Like I don't really feel the need to talk about the song lineup. I think it's been pretty standardized at this point. So the 4 Storm, 4 Strength, 3 Zeus, and 4 Whole New Worlds. If you're playing Steel Song, you're probably playing those ratios. So we got one more deck to talk about, and of course, I'm biased and put Blurple in here. You guys should have already known that was going to happen. I actually didn't plan on it, but it came down to a bunch of decks that we did last week as well. And I'm like, well, if we're going to go ahead and do a repeat deck, I'm going to pick one that I like. Diggy Hole was all over the place. Diggy Hole had a fantastic week this past weekend as far as results went, with even first place finishes. The deck really performed really, really well. But the deck list pretty much the same across the board. This one, pretty much the same across the board. So in your 1-drop spot, 4 Chernobog, 4 Broom, and 2 Diablos. Pretty standard to play the 10 1-drops. Like I said, I'm a fan of 8. I think 8 is plenty. If I miss my 1-drop, I'm not that worried about it. I think it's okay. But I understand some people don't want to miss that 1-drop. I get it. I just like to have less of them in that late game when I'm trying to draw better cards. But nonetheless, overall, actually, how much cards different? Cut the 2 Diablos. 1, 2. what, 3, 4, it's 5. Oh no, it's 8 because of the location. But only an 8 card difference from my list. But I'm playing Castle over Manor. Outside of that, it's only a 5 character difference. On 2, Snake and Tipo, pretty standard. On 3, you have your Fox and your Crab. Crab is a huge way that this deck can remove threats. You get all kinds of insane advantage by dropping your Crab, boosting like your Diablo, boosting your Broom, swinging into something if you don't want the card draw or necessarily need the card draw, or like a Broom can just clean take out a Daisy Duck then. Then you play a character, pop your Broom, draw your card. It's really, really good value because of Crab. Crab is super important. I definitely think you should play 4 in this deck. The 4 Genie, 4 Goat, 3 Rabbits. Again, pretty standard across the board. I'm playing Castle over the Manor. The lack of willpower has come up much less than the draw has. The draw has been insane, and with that extra draw, I did put Rabbit at 2. I think Manor's incredibly strong, though. Like, I'm not going to say Manor's not more potential to last longer, to get you more lore. It's 9 willpower. It's 9 willpower. And it's just a 2 lore generator. It's a little less, I need to answer this card right now. Whereas Queen's Castle, you get some characters there. Now you're going to start drawing 2, 3 cards per turn. It's I need to answer this card now. And I always get the response, well, Fox plus Crab kills your castle. My response is, if they play a Crab, don't follow that up by playing a castle. You're just asking for it at that point. Depending on your hand, you ink the castle, you accept the board state, and you just outplay their board state. You don't, even if you go slap a Manor down, now they swing into it for 3 with Crab, then they bounce their Crab with Fox. Fox has 7, 3 plus 7's 10, guys. Crab plus Fox takes out Manor too. Crab plus Fox takes out Manor too. But Crab take out something else. Fox bounce Crab take out Castle. See? Manor's still better. I think both are preference calls and both are pretty strong cards. I would play one or the other. I know which one I would play, but if I was you, I'd play one or the other. Where'd we leave off? Our 5-drop cards. We have 2 Belle, 4 Elsas. I actually like Belle at 3 a ton. This card is insane and just wins so many games. Like, she allows you to just get incredible trade values. Genie into Genie, play Belle, move 2 to their Genie, takes it out. Fox into something, gets 2 damage, play Belle, move the 2 damage, takes out a second character, and now your Fox is free with no damage on it. Like, your Elsa's, like big Elsa's even moving 3 damage. Like, Belle has been one of the MVPs of the deck for me, and I really, really like her at 3 for that reason. 4 Elsas, absolutely. I'd play 4 Elsas. When it comes to Hades and Big Elsa, I still like 3 Big Elsa. I'm debating if I go this weekend to play 3 Hades, though, too. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. You should be playing at least 5 or 6 of these cards total, whether it's 3-2, 2-3, 3-3. I don't care. But you should be playing 5 or 6 of these cards in some type of combination whatsoever. Ramping on 2 can be so important in most of your matchups, so force sale the Azurite Seas. The card is also card draw late game, especially when you have like 10, 11, 12 ink. You just play it to draw a card. You don't need the extra ink at that point. You just play it as a consistency card. Finders Keepers. Maybe it's because I play Castle. I don't think it's needed, but it's not a song, and it basically takes up half of your turn when you have a big ink. Well, I mean, drawing 3 cards is good. I'm not going to say it's not. Drawing 3 cards is very, very good. But usually in that late game when you're trying to draw into cards, you're trying to draw into Hades or Elsa. And that means you need 12 to 13 ink for Finders Keepers to really get good value, because what's the point in playing it to draw that card if you can't play that card and then you lose? So I'm not saying Finders Keepers is a bad card. I'm just saying that be mindful of it. I'm not a big fan, but again, I'm playing Castle, so my list is actually pretty different because of that, because of the extra consistency that it offers. In addition to that, you can apply that threat where, with a Manor, maybe they develop their board a little bit better, take out a couple of your characters, and next turn they clean take out the Manor. They just let you have the 2 lore. But with Castle, they can't do that because the threat of you drawing is too important. So they have to go after your Castle first. Now you get to develop your board more, and now all of a sudden you get to come back with a better swing. Just a couple reasons I like Castle more. But at the end of the day, congratulations to all 4 of these players. Congratulations to anyone else who did well at their set championships. Again, all 4 of these decks won at pretty good sized tournaments, anywhere from 25 to I think 46 was the biggest one that I pulled one of these decks from, but don't quote me on that. So congratulations to these 4 players. Yeah, I was going to say something else, but it just was not going to make any sense. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget our 5,500 subscriber giveaway. Still going on, guys. We're getting pretty close. We're like 200 subscribers away, and then we're going to give away a case. Yes, 4 boxes of set 7. So make sure you hit those buttons if you haven't already, and take care, guys.